What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we've got a really good one here for you guys today, and we are going to be showing you guys how to build a website from absolute scratch. You're going to be learning how to select your server, what kind of server you want, doing the firewalls, the security, installing the actual web server itself, going in and getting your domain. How does that work? Getting that onto your server, selecting all the DNS records that go along with that, going over and actually building your website, getting certificates so that way it looks professional and you can show it to anybody and it won't look suspicious. You're going to have all of that, and you'll be able to make websites just like mine that you'll see here, and even more. You'll be able to let your creativity just go wild, and anything that goes wrong on the server, hey, you built it, so you'll know how to actually fix it, or have at least an idea of how to go about fixing it. So in this series, there's a ton of things jam-packed into here, and I can't wait to show you guys it all. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe if you guys want more. I'm always happy to help answer any comments you guys may have. Thank you guys so much for the support and all the other videos. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so to start, we're going to go to DigitalOcean.com. There's going to be a link in the description. It is a cloud service provider that allows us to rent a cloud virtual private server, or VPS. What they call them here on DigitalOcean are droplets. So anytime you see droplet, that is a VPS. That is your own virtual private server. They have servers that are as cheap as $4 a month, and that's literally all we need. And if we decide we need to go up higher in the future, it is so easy to go up to the next one. It takes like 30 seconds. It's just so easy, and you only get charged by the hour. So let's say you don't even like it, you get charged like less than a cent if you're doing the $4 a month server. So give it a try. It's literally nothing. You can always get rid of it at any point by destroying your droplet, but this is going to launch us into the ability to create our own server and make our own website from complete scratch. And what we need to do is we need you guys to sign up with your email, Google, GitHub, whatever it is. Create your own team. Your own team is like your administrative production team that is going to be working on it. It's most likely just going to be you. You're going to be the owner. So get that all set up, get your payment information in there, and once you are set up, we'll go on to the next step. All right, so the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make yourself a project. So this project is what all of your VPSs are going to go under. We're only going to do one, but you can, if you expand on your own project, you'll be able to put in multiple different virtual private servers together, or whatever you want to do with them, however much you want to go into it. But create a project, because this is like the container of where all of our server stuff is going to go. Name it whatever you want. Mine was named First Project. It was whatever. Put whatever you want there. Put whatever description you want. Put in a purpose for it, whatever you think matches best with you, and then create that project. All right, so once you've created your first project, you are going to want to go up to this green button that says Create, and you're going to want to create a droplet. And what a droplet is, the droplets are the VPSs. So click on Droplet to create a droplet, because that is the virtual private server. There's a bunch of other different resources you can get from these, but we just want to do a virtual private server that gives you everything you need. And you don't really have to get anything else after that unless you really want to go further with it. And then choose your region. Choose whatever region is closest to you, or wherever you feel like the people who are going to access this mostly are going to be closest to. So we're going to do San Francisco. And we're going to do, we have a bunch of different data centers, but I believe only the data center 3 for the San Francisco location currently works. So just leave it on whatever, it doesn't really matter what data center you're on anyway. Leave it on whatever it puts you on. And then it's going to, this VPC means Virtual Private Cloud. They rolled this out recently. It's just a kind of bigger version of just a virtual private server having a bunch of different things on their own cloud. Don't worry about that. Choose an image. So we are going to want to have our own start location. So we can, go to the marketplace and get our own custom images that They already have WordPress installed. They already have all of these things that are already done for you. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to show you exactly how to do things from complete scratch so you can do this yourself from complete scratch. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with just a operating system install. So you have nothing on the server other than just an operating system. And we're going to use Ubuntu. Ubuntu is Linux, and a lot of all these I think are Linux, Linux based. Linux is very nice because it doesn't cost anything to have Linux. But if you have Mac or Windows, it costs something to have that server operating system on it. So Linux is very good for that because it doesn't cost anything, which means there's a lot of help out there too when you get stuck, because it's just so open for everybody to use. Now, heading to the version, we've got a bunch of different versions of the Ubuntu operating system here. And what these versions mean is this actually, the version 24.10, that's actually when it was released. So 2024 and in October. So that's what we've got here. But you notice this one's different than the other ones. This is a 6-month release. It's out for 6 months and then they stop working on it. They stop giving security updates, whatever it is. So we don't want to do this one. We want to do this one, which is their most recent LTS version. LTS means long-term service. And long-term service, they keep this running, and security patches for it, the team at Ubuntu, they keep it running for 5 years, and then you want to upgrade to your next one. And if you want, and you don't want to worry about any potential issues upgrading your operating system and what it has on your server, any impacts with that, you can pay for an additional 5 years, and even 2 more years you can pay for if you really need to start moving to the next one. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the most recent 2024 April long-term service one. They make a new long-term service every single 2 years. So in 2026 in April, there's going to be another long-term service, so you can upgrade to that as well. So we're going to do that for our version. As you see the other ones, there's also the 2022 version, there's the 2020 version. However, the 2020 version is no longer supported as it's currently 5/13, meaning it's May, and it is April here, and that's 5 years ago. So it's no longer supported on that one, so I would not do that one because you'll need to upgrade to a newer one. For the security patches that the Ubuntu team releases to help make sure you keep your server nice and secure. So this is where the costs start coming in. So we're going to figure out what kind of droplet we need. Basic, general purpose, CPU optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized. For this example, you can upgrade these so easily in the future. So that's the other reason DigitalOcean is super nice, is if you need more, you can get more easily. We're going to keep a shared CPU that is basic because we don't need anything crazy. Because if we go to any of these higher ones, general purpose, like we got $63 a month, $42 a month, $84 a month, $131 a month for the most expensive dedicated CPUs. We don't need that. We really don't, and your site's going to be completely fine. When you get a lot further into it, maybe then when you actually realize how much just a basic shared CPU can do, then you can decide for yourself if you need more. So the CPU options, we can go with a regular with a regular SSD. We can go with a premium Intel with an NVMe SSD, or a premium AMD CPU with an NVMe SSD. We don't need any of these. We just need the regular one because that one's extremely cheap. And also, we don't need it. Like, if you're just doing a site, you really don't need anything. And we can do as little as $4 a month. This allows you to have one virtual CPU with 512 megabytes of RAM, 10 gigabytes on your SSD disk. Don't worry, that goes a long way. You'll be surprised. And 500 gigabytes of transfer, meaning you can transfer 500 gigabytes of data per month. So that's all you need, is a $4 a month server. If you end up having a lot of people start going to your website, then you'll probably want to go up a little bit from here. But you really only need this $4 a month server and you're good to go. So we're going to create this droplet now once we have all of those things. I don't know if there's anything else. No, that was just an extra option down below. We have a few more things. Let's go and look through a few more things. So additional storage. This is called volume. So if you don't think your 10 gigabytes is enough, you can add a volume for 100 gigabytes for $10. So like every 10 gigabytes is $1. So if you want an extra little bit on there, boom, there you go. So you can add an additional drive, basically. You add another drive onto it, but we don't need that because the stuff we're going to do is not going to really take 10 gigabytes. It's going to be hard. You work your way up to this 10 gigabytes and then decide you want to do like more stuff, because you really don't. And then you can have it automatically format and mount it and choose the file system. But again, we don't need any of this, so we are going to remove the volume. We don't need it. You can create backups, and if I click this, you'll see that the price is 30% of the cost of the droplet for daily backups kept for 7 days, or weekly backups, which is 20% of the cost of the droplet, and then you can have your own backups. So they have this option here, but if you really want to back up your server, there's two other options you can do. You can back it up yourself. So all of the website related stuff that you do, you can back all that stuff up so that way, like you have it on your own computer instead. You could pay for it here, which makes it a little bit maybe easier. But if you want to spend the extra money, the option is there. We don't need any backups here. All right, so now we get to the SSH key. So the SSH key is what we use to log into the droplet or the virtual private server, VPS. And this is the much more secure way to get into your server. And this is what you want to do because you want to make sure your server is secure and nobody else. There's a lot of bad actors out there, so you want to make sure your server is secure and nobody else can get into your server. So we're going to create a new SSH key, but before we do that, let's just, I'll click this. Why not? This is pretty nice to have as a little dashboard to help you have better metrics. And then we can choose a host name. We're going to do the SSH key last. And we're going to put it under our first project or whatever project that you named it. We don't need to have any tags, but so let's name this droplet. This is what's going to be shown on your console when you're looking at the droplet. So I'm going to make this YouTube. Whatever you want, make it your host. You can change this droplet name later on. And if you're trying to add extra things that are a little bit more complicated, we can get into them later, but you can always change your name later on if you don't want it. And then you can also choose how many droplets you want. If you choose multiple droplets, it's going to be multiples of what you're paying. So, because it's multiple different droplets. We only want one. We only need one server. So we're going to have one droplet. And just like that, it costs $4 USD per month or less than 1 cent an hour. So you're barely paying anything for this. And if you decide you don't want it, you can get rid of it by destroying the droplet and it will be gone, and you only pay, if it's less than 1 cent, I think they just give it back to you. But yeah, so anyway, let's go into our SSH key. We need to make an SSH key to log into this droplet. So we're going to make our new SSH key. And what we want to do is we need to go into the terminal to make this SSH key. All right, so to make this SSH key, we are going to open up a command prompt if you're on Windows, or open up the terminal on Mac. And then we are going to put in this command here. And if you don't know how to get to the command, just go here, type in CMD, boom, there you go, command prompt, open it up. This is what you'll see. And then we are going to type in, or just copy this here, SSH keygen. So we're, in order to paste into command prompt, if you're using command prompt, and this series is gonna go off of command prompt, so just translate it over to terminal. I'm not doing it on terminal, but for command prompt, if you wanna paste something in, just right click. So right click, I need to copy again. Okay, and then let's go back over and right click. There we go, SSH-keygen. And then we are going to hit enter. And then it's going to generate a private and public key pair, and it's going to be saved inside of my user folder into SSH, the ID, and that's where it's going to be saved. Enter a file which to save the key. I'm fine with the default, so I'm just going to say enter, and then there's already one that exists. I actually don't need it because I was doing stuff trying to get back into one of them, but yeah. So I'm going to overwrite that. I don't need that one. Enter a passphrase. If you want to make this even more secure, you can enter a passphrase. If you type anything here or any passwords in command prompt, you won't see it, so you won't even be able to know if you're typing or not. So just make sure if you do enter a passphrase, you know exactly what you typed. You're going to get a confirmation passphrase to make sure they match, but make sure you have that somewhere so you can access your droplet if you don't know your passphrase. But if you don't want to have a passphrase, just hit enter. Enter the same passphrase again, hit enter. There you go. All right, we got some random art for our actual key that we made, and then we have our key that was listed above as well. So the next part, we need to go grab our key where it was saved, and it was saved in our SSH folder inside of our user folder, and we are going to go and find it and put it in here. All right, so if we look, we went into C users Mike SSH ID.pub. So if we go and look, we are in C users Mike s.ssh, and then we are looking for 255.19 pub right here. So we're going to, that's going to open up a publisher. It's not actually it's a public key, but it's not actually a publisher file. So that's why I can't open the file. But if you have Visual Studio Code on your computer or Notepad, you can just open it with code, and then your public key will be right here. This is what you want. So it's all already copied. We only need this part right here. So let's copy that, and let's come back to our key here, and we are going to paste this key inside of here. Let's give it a name. This is going to be YouTube. So this is the private key for your server, and you want to make sure that nobody sees this key. Otherwise, anybody can get into your droplet. So make sure nobody sees that key, and there you go. Give it a name, and that's going to pop up when you are ready to, when you're ready for that. So now I can add it. So now I've got a new public key, and it's right there. So that's the one that's going to already be on the server, and we can now access it with our public key. So anyway, now let's get into actually accessing it once we create the droplet. All right, so we'll just create that droplet now, and boom, your first project, there it is. You have your own droplet, and it is going to very, very quickly create and spin up that droplet. And once that has been done, this shouldn't take very long, but once that bar is finished going from one side to the other, then your droplet is ready to go. And then we've got our own IP address. So there we go. So we are going to see our droplet right here. And now this is our dashboard. So this is where we're able to see all of the overview administration related stuff of the droplet. We can see CPU usage, bandwidth. There hasn't been anything on the droplet yet. We just started up the droplet. It just has an operating system on it. But this is where we can see all of this specific stuff. Don't click the IPv6. Don't click the reserved IP. We don't need them. You get those for free with it, but you don't need them. Don't enable them because you're just adding another thing that you need to know. The thing we do need to know is our IP4 address. This is how we actually will access the droplet, and then we have our own private internal IP for that specific droplet. But really, the IPv4 address, this is what we're going to need to know. Here's some additional statistics about it. It's got half a gig of memory RAM. It's 10 gigabytes on the storage, and then it's San Francisco Data Center 3, and we're running Ubuntu 2024 April long-term service. So we have the graphs here. These will populate shortly with bandwidth, CPU usage, and disk. And then we have access. You can go into the actual console from right here, instead of going through a command prompt. Command prompt's a lot better, so we're going to show you how to do that in the next video, because this we're just going to finish up here, and then we are going to actually access the actual server through the command line in the next video, where we're actually going to do all those cool things. This is just setting it up. The next video will do that, but we can we can launch as root, which is the top level user. So this person will have all the permissions no matter what. If for some reason you can't get into the console no matter what, you're going to want to launch your recovery console, which will allow you to get in no matter what. And if your root password is not correct, you can reset your root password here. Power, you can turn off your droplet if you want, or turn it back on. You can also do that from right here, turning it on and off with an on and off switch. You can also do it through your commands in your command line too. You can also restart your commands. It will hard reset the server. You don't want to do this unless for some reason turning off doesn't turn off. You could power cycle it and it will force restart the server. So just remember, you will still be billed for turning off a droplet. You need to destroy the droplet where you can't actually access it. If you turn off this droplet, turning this to off or turning off here, you can still access all these resources at any moment in time, and none of your work is going unsaved. It's all there, unless you lost a bunch of stuff along the way from something that ended up happening. But if you turn off your droplet, you will still keep all this. However, you will still be billed even if your droplet is not on. So don't turn off your droplet if you don't want to not be billed. So destroy your droplet, which means you won't have access to anything here, and all of your stuff that was on there is not going to be saved anymore, unless you make a snapshot, which we'll get there in a second. Now here you can add volumes. We've already went over that. You can add volumes right here if you want to add more storage. Resizing, so this is going to be very useful. So like I said, we went to that very, very low version of it because we don't need to buy it. And if we needed to buy something bigger, we can just upgrade later. So we can upgrade to have more memory, have more transfer, have more vCPUs as we go down the line, have more memory, have more transfer. And this costs more and more per month. You see the SSD is not going up because if we're just doing CPU and RAM only, we can upgrade and downgrade whenever we want. But if we do CPU, disk, and RAM, we can only upgrade, but we can't downgrade anymore after that. So always do CPU and RAM only unless you absolutely need more solid state drive space. And at that point, you can just add a volume over here if you need more space. So keep it at 10 unless you absolutely need more, because then if you decide you don't need as much and you want to go back to the $4 a month price, then you can do that. If you're like, ah man, I need like this premium AMD, 2 vCPUs, 8 gigabytes of memory, 5 terabytes for $42 a month, and you upgraded your SSD. If you upgraded your SSD, you can't go back to your $4 a month. I mean, upgrading the amount of storage on your SSD. So for example, if we went to that, you'd get 160 gigabytes from it. I mean, pretty nice, but you could just add volumes. So always do this, and don't go to the other one unless you absolutely have to, because you cannot back out at that point. So then the networking tab, this is going to be your public IPv4 address, which you see that here, your subnet mask, your public gateway, your private network from your virtual private cloud, and then you can set up firewalls. You can set up firewalls on here. You can set it up in the droplet yourself. We'll go over that in the next video. Backups, you can again set backups you want. Snapshots. Now this is where you could literally just take a snapshot of the point in time of whatever you have done on the server. You can just basically save it right here in a snapshot, and you can then go in. When we were going through creating the droplet, when you had custom snapshots, you could literally grab your custom snapshot from here and launch where you started or where you ended up on a different server. So this is very useful, and it's almost like another backup. So this was the other way of the backup. Notice I said back in the video, I said there's two different options. I only went over one. This is the other option of how to back it up as well. And it costs 6 cents per gigabyte per month. So if we have a 10 gigabyte server, it's going to be as much as 60 cents a month for that server. But that's only if we had the full 10 gigabytes. So if we only use 1 gigabyte, well, it's only 6 cents per gigabyte per month. So like if we only had 1 gigabyte of space on the 10 gigabyte server, so it'd only be 6 cents a month. So very useful. But let's say you have 10 1 gigabyte snapshots. Well, that's going to cost 60 cents a month because you have all those different snapshots. And this literally takes, it says 10 to 30 minutes. It takes like 10 seconds or less. It's very quick, especially when you're lower. I mean, when you have higher amounts of gigabytes, it's going to take longer. Your kernel, you can't manage it from this droplet. You can see history of when you created it. You can destroy. Here is how you destroy the droplet. When you destroy the droplet, you are fully getting rid of it, and you cannot access it again. However, if you destroy the droplet but you took a snapshot of it, you can get another server with that snapshot. So that's another cool thing you can do. And then you can add tags to it if you, whatever, to group your droplets, whatever. But that's if you have a bunch of them, you don't need to worry about that. And then you can recover from your hard drive or recover from your ISO. So all of that, that's how you do the actual administration panel of your droplet. Notice I have blocked out some things before because, you know, as I'm showing this droplet, I don't want any of you guys potentially logging in and messing it up. So I did block out a few things so I can actually make the series for you guys. But when it comes to actually doing the droplet itself, I'm going to show you guys as much as I possibly can. So that way you guys get the full experience of what it is like to do that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is part 1 of the entire How to Build a Website from Complete Scratch series. We have now created our server, and now in the next video, we're going to access our server. And I haven't made that video yet, so I don't know what we're going to do by then, but we're probably going to install the web server, and we're probably going to get our first website running. And then once we get all that stuff done, we enable our firewalls and do our security, then we will go on and start building our website. But anyway, that is going to conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to comment, like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching and showing all your support on the video, and I will see you guys in the next video.
With 7-9, from the ring to the repo, took a real beast with a face-off ego. Whether you code, score, drop a sick line, it all goes down.